this today. We're not going to clap. Please.
We're going to do this today. We're not going to cut. Brandon, Harley, thank you very much for opening this beautiful ceremony today. And welcome to everybody that's out here today. This is indeed an important day, not only in the community of White Rock, but obviously the broader community and our friends and neighbors, the Semiahmoo First Nation. So I want to begin by recognizing that we're on the unceded and traditional territory of the Semiahmoo First Nation and of course the broader territory of the Coast Salish people. And there could be no more important place in my perspective in this community for the two nations to come together than at this beautiful plaza that of course is named for Pequotchton, Grand Chief Bernard Charles, and we I think and Harley will talk a little bit more about it, the memory, the recognition of the events that have gone before and all the work that the Grand Chief did is so very important to our two communities, and we'll get more of that from Chief Chappell. Want to recognize we have a couple of councillors with us today. Councillor Erica Christensen over here. She just got through another one of her operations. I'm sorry, Erica Johansson. And now I'm going to go back over here to Scott Johansson, Scott Christensen. I apologize to both of you. I wouldn't necessarily want to put you together in that way, but I certainly want to have you together in the council chamber. So, National Indigenous Peoples Day today, the first day of summer. So what do we call it? I believe the summer solstice is a day that we honor the people that were here long before the rest of us arrived in this beautiful country. Obviously the First Nations, and there are literally thousands across this country of different First Nations, the Inuit people and of course the Métis people, both of which made very, very powerful and important impacts on what our country looks like, and as much as anything, what our culture looks like and what we believe we stand for. We've come a long way when I think it's come to truth and reconciliation, but anybody that knows anything would tell you we've got a long way to go yet. There is so much more to do, and I think the relationship that we've built in the last 3 years with the Semiahmoo First Nation and our community of White Rock, and we say the peninsula because we're more than that, has gone a long way to rebuild that relationship, but we've still got a long way to go. And so this is a day like many more that we will have together to recognize the culture. Before I go on, I note that Councillor Chris Trevelyan has shown up here, so that's almost, I think we've got a quorum here today, so we have the ability to make decisions. We promise not to. So we come together to celebrate the culture of the great nations that were here before we came. And the great nation and our closest friend is Semiahmoo. Without them, I don't think we'd have the ability to celebrate in the way we do. When we have things like Sea Festival, we celebrate on one end of the community at Memorial Park and on the other end of the community at Semiahmoo Park. It's something we do together because we care about each other and because it's important for us to be able to do these things together. We will build stronger together. We will be more important together. And more importantly, I think we will recognize two nations that are coming together, two communities, two levels of government that are coming together. So having said that, I'm going to step aside and hand it over to my friend Harley Chappell. And before I do that, Joanne Charles is with us today. Joanne is a senior counselor, if I may. That almost sounds like a legal term. It's not meant to. But we have learned so much over the years from Joanne and Harley. And is Janine with us today, or was she unable to attend?
Janine is sick.
All right, okay, we'll just leave it at that. And the senior, the elder from our community, from the Semiahmoo community, Mabel, I tend to say our community, but it is an important piece of what this is all about. And you see side by side, we have the youth and we have the elder. That is the future of our communities. Together we will do a lot of stuff. And I'm going to hand it over now to you, Harley, and it's all yours, my friend.
Just before I begin,
hands up, hands up.
We're learning something today. We're good. But I'm gonna pass there's no microphone. I'm gonna pass the floor to my cousin. I always speak so much. I'll speak during when our kids present today, but I'm gonna turn the floor over to my cousin.
Asiyam, Sachalacha, Siyam, Skalitowit, Squenemia, Chesta, Sitsanatiam. Good morning, everyone. My traditional ancestral names are Skalitowit and Squenemia Chesa. I share my names with Skalitowit, Squenemia Natsa, number 1, with my mother, Mabel. She's our oldest band member, and she is one of the warriors that went to what's been called Child Residential Schools. So she's our eldest band member. And my English name is Joanne Charles, and I'd just like to say Haishka to each and every one of you, to the mayor and to the council of White Rock. We just want to say Haishka for thinking about us here today at this place today on National Indigenous Persons Day. So we raise our hands to you and say thank you for doing that. We have a lovely presentation here today. We've got some words from Harley and some of our young people to bring this area here as the Bernard Robert Charles Pequechton Grand Chief, our Grand Chief Memorial Plaza here, to again bring a little bit of medicine here today to share with this place, with the gift that we have here today, with the representations that were passed on way back in 1999. And realizing the recognition of the reconciliation that was actually started and seeded way back then with not only the RCMP but in our relationship with the city of White Rock, recognizing that as a place. So we say Haishka to yourself and to the former councils that have come before you to look at that and understanding the relationship that we have, while the calls to action and truth and reconciliation and UNDRIP and DRIPA are all unfolding before us, that we have this opportunity to celebrate today. Celebrate today for our communities, for the rest of the nations. We do have another big gathering that's happening in the adjacent municipality later on in the afternoon, so we have some work to do. So today it's a reflection back on the things that we've been able to do as a working partnership here with the city, and we give thanks to the city and the staff that are here. We say Haishka to them, to the RCMP and the fire department and our emergency staff that work with our nation, and we give them thanks in recognizing Indigenous Day, the Reconciliation Day, etc. So I just want to say Haishka to each and every one of you for just spending a little bit of time here today, and you'll get to hear from Chief Chappell more things in different places and that are meaningful to our people within this bay. You know, we are saltwater people. One of our original sites is across the bay here. One of our other sites is on the shore of here. All along Semiyama Bay is our traditional lands that we once occupied, and we fished and we clammed. And it's the hope that we get back to doing that. So I just share a little bit here today and say thank you again to each and every one of you.
Siem nis chalacha, Haishka, Quanas Anatachel, Tias Quachil, Nestli, Quanasqual, Kukunosqual, Tiakais. It's in Flexi, Tia Makwelia, Tiakais. What I say is, good morning, dear friends and relatives. I didn't introduce myself. My traditional name is Quapocton. My English name is Harley Chappell. I'm the elected chief of Semiyama. But I just want to raise my hands. When we come to this site here, and this now it's Grand Chief Bernard Charles Memorial Plaza, this to us is sacred ground. And today what we're doing with our young people, I really want to raise my hands to the city for let's throw something together real quick. We kind of last minute, we didn't know we were gathering people, we didn't know what was going on, but we said let's get to it. We had a fantastic gathering here last September, and now being able to celebrate on our shore, it brings a lot of this home for us. I'd like to welcome you to our site of Pequals, White Rock, the white place. It's a marker. It teaches us and reminds us of a time long, long, long ago when the world wasn't like it is now. Different time, spiritual, mythical time of our existence. So that rock that sits down there is a marker for all of us to remind us of that time and those people that came here at that time. I always share at this time, and I asked my cousin to speak first because I'll end up sharing a little bit as our young people share. We're not here to perform. We don't perform. We're here to share some of who we are as Semiyama people with our neighbors and our guests and celebrate this Indigenous Peoples Day. So I thank you. I thank you for this. this gesture that I'm pushing today. All so often we're taught in the Palitam world, the non-native world, we do this. And for us, when we invite spirit, we invite all of our ancestors through our young people, through our ceremonies, we invite them to sit with us. We don't want to scare them away. We want them to stay. And I'll explain some of this meaning when my daughter comes out and what this does. But it's the open gesture that we share of gratitude, of welcoming, of thanks, of all of the above, that we open ourselves to that. So I'm just going to ask if we can clear a little path for our kids there. And really they come and they do work. And I'll explain some of the work that they do as we continue on. She's good. She's okay. Good there? Yep. I'll explain some of the work that they do as we continue. But I really want to thank you for taking a little bit of time out of your day to come and share with us, come and sit with us, be with us, so we can celebrate this day here and with our friends from White Rock. Thank you all for being here. There you go. Everybody wants to clap. Everybody wants to clap. The first song that our young people came out to is our Slacktimish flood song. And our flood song is very, very important to us. And it reminds us of our history. We were taught that long, long ago somebody had a vision. One of the community members had the Elno people, the original people. They had a vision and they saw this great flood coming to our territory. And as they had that vision, they brought it to the people and they built two giant canoes. They put all the children in one of those canoes. They put all the supplies in the other canoe. Soon enough, that floodwater came and all the other people in the villages passed. When the water started to recede, one of those canoes landed just around that corner right over there. what's now the Birch Bay area. The other one broke off and it landed on one of those islands right there. So you see our history here from the flood. What happened is a lot of those young people, as they started to rebuild life, they started to move and go to different territories. One of the older ones was smart, had good teachings. She sent out her runners, her ones to go out and collect all those ones that moved away. And she said, we need to remember who we are and where we come from. We are Slacktimish. We are survivors of the flood. So what they did, and all you guys that now that we can cross the border, when you cross the border, I want you to share this with your family. What they did is they put Mish, M-I-S-H, at the end of their name. So when you cross that imaginary line that cuts that bay right in half, can't you see it? When you cross that line, you start heading south, you'll hit Samish, Swinomish, Skokomish, Stillaguamish, Duwamish, Sammamish. You'll see all these Mish communities, or some are still indigenous villages, some are counties, some are place names. But for us, that shows us that's where those people went after the flood. So you saw our young people. We were doing a crash course warm-up in the parking lot before we got here. But I said, you go off because they went to those different areas for different reasons. Some were to fish, some were to hunt, some were to gather. They started to rebuild life. So that really shows us the relationship that we have with this territory and the history that goes with it. The second song our boys broke off to and danced on. And you can feel that rattle of the hooves of the paddle coats. That song is very important. It's our Semiyama War Song. And I don't sing it in the essence of our warriors and how they used to be. I sing it in the essence that I want to build our young people with that tenacity, that strength, that endeavor that they should carry through their lives. That being worried and scared but still saddling up and going. That's my hope and my prayer when I sing that song with our young people. When I begun this, I only have one girl. I think we've overrun with boys today. All the girls are getting older and they don't want to come, or they're too young yet. We got one that's too young. So we're grooming her. But she's not quite here yet. But we've talked about this gesture, Zion, the raising of the hands. And that gesture is very important because when we would come, our village that's right across the way, and it's so beautiful to sit here because I look at our village site of Sika that was right across the way, and we could imagine right on the hillside there were 5 longhouses on the ocean facing side, and there were 7 longhouses inside Drayton Harbor. So Semiyama was a very large, very economic community. The border cut us in half, and our family that you see here were the only ones that moved to the north side. Hence why we're so small, one family. But when we think of the relationship that we have here, when we would have our visitors come to our community, I won't say they were always peaceful. We have Pomé Point, which was our lookout point. That's where the runners lived, at the longhouse at Pomé Point, at Ocean Park. And they would look out to make sure around what we call Chustunum, the village of Chustunum, which is at Point Roberts. They would watch for the raiders that would come around the corner. They would come to raid the villages. They would send their runners and they would come here to our village, here at the Tatalu, our village at Sika, and then they would go down further and they would warn that raiders were coming. So that was one way people, and we still practice this today. You may have seen some of our cousins, these guys were out in the canoe yesterday, warming up for the canoe journey. But there's a way we still practice in that. They say if we put our head of our canoe onto the beach, it's an act of aggression. And we still practice that in our canoe journey. So we come to the villages, we stop before we hit shore, we raise our hands, and we ask for permission to come ashore. And then we turn our canoe around and we back in. And I always ask, why do we back in? I'm like, in case things go sideways, you can get out of here. but that gesture, this gesture. So when we would have visitors come to our community, our village sites, they'd practice that. They'd come, and the matriarchs and the elders would come out, and they would come and they'd welcome their people. They'd welcome their guests and their visitors. And the men would stand behind them and we'd sing these songs. And it's so adequate today because the song I'm going to sing is a song that Grand Chief Bernard Charles left for us. Our auntie here is brother, and he left it for us. My daughter, it's very simple. It's a very simple gesture, but it means a lot. Everything they're wearing, and I'll explain that in a second. But my daughter's just going to do a quick couple rounds. She feels alone because she is, but we're warming her up. But she's just going to welcome you on behalf of the ladies, on behalf of our matriarchs and our elders, to our community, because it was really our ladies and our mothers and our aunties were the ones that had that ability to do that. We were just the workhorses, like we should be. Oh, 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 gesture from our customs and our beliefs it means a lot to us. Nowadays they say, oh, that means thank you. It means much more than that. When I look at this gesture, it's open and peaceful. I'm opening myself to you. I'm giving a little bit of myself and reciprocating that back through the gesture. So I just simple Eagle Song boys. Line up in the same order. As my boys get ready, my boys and my nephews, this is all our family here today. Crazy. I thought, oh, these are all ours. We got none of my little cousins. These are my nephews, my sons, and my grandsons, my daughters. Where my grandsons went? They're around here somewhere. But this song is extremely important because it acknowledges. You see the headbands that the boys are wearing. They wear these horns of the Thunderbird, and we have a connection. And as soon as we were pulled up, we were sitting outside, one of those eagles went flying over, and I thought, we're on the right track. We're on the right track. But this song is the Eagle Song. It's a Stalo song from the Point family. But I always sing it with our boys because I think it's important that they remember the relationship between those feathers and that bird. They remember that your thoughts and your prayers, when I talked of the work that they're doing, your thoughts and your prayers through these songs go. And our eagle is so important because it was the one that flew the highest, and it brought our prayers to our Creator, the one that gave us life. The hooves that you see them wear, you hear that sound when they're walking, when they're paddling. That's scaring and pushing the things back into the ground that we don't need. It's scattering and clearing. When I say they make this sacred ground, that's the regalia that they're wearing. And the Kwakwastinalo, the paddle coats that they wear, that's a shield, if you will, from those times when we would have warfare out here. They earned those. Now we use them as a reflection and understanding of who we are. But this song is the eagle song, and we'd always say the eagles spin because it's like a cyclone, and it'll pull your sadness, your sickness, your sorrow, and it'll pull it to a place where it won't harm anybody else. And then they'll unwind and they'll bring all that stuff that we need back down to them. Similar to what this thing does in my hat. So it just asks you to be, it's work. We're doing work. If you want to say spiritual work, that's our belief. That's our understanding of these things. It's not a performance. Hence why I said, we are not performers. We don't do that. Like the old show used to say, homie, don't play that, right? So this is going to be the eagle song, and then I'm going to make them embarrass themselves. war song and feeding that warrior within. I really, really always challenge my nephews and my sons to learn to be brave. And a lot of times we get to these events and there's a microphone and I say, all right, you're up. But today there's no microphone. You going first? All right, we'll go last. So I'm gonna let all of my nephews and my sons introduce themselves. Because to me that's finding courage. It's finding their voice and finding their courage. And sometimes a place is very scary.
Osiam Manestrata Siam Keegan Nasiam.
Osiam Laura Siam. Forward Kingdom Siam.
You can just introduce yourself.
My name is Paul.
Holly. Handsome, you're up.
Hi, my name is Kenai.
How old are you, Kenai? 8.
Hi, my name is Marcus.
Hi, my name is Mason.
Osiam Nastrata Siam Kingdom Siam.
So to me, it's extremely. Grab your paddle, please. It's extremely important that we allow our children to find their voice. Sorry, I didn't even do this thing.
Asiam Georgia. I got Siam Hoya Katuna Kaaba Siam. Elat Hopop Gainum Tell Squeed. My name is Brandon Joplin. Unfortunately, his eldest son. I reside here. Well, I'm from here in Semiyama. I live out in Chilliwack, where my mom is from. It's an honor to be here today. My ancestral name is Hopop Gainum. I share a variation of my father's name with him. We share a first name actually out that I received when I was what, 8 months old? About 8 months old, about 20 something years ago. Honor to be here. Thank you.
You know, again, I thank you for the opportunity to share, to come and celebrate on our beach, on our foreshore, and really rebuilding and building a strong, good relationship with our friends from the city of White Rock. You know, we know it's been a long time, and we speak of reconciliation, we speak of the DRIPA legislation here in the province, UNDRIP federally, and there's lots of work to do. There's lots of work to do. But I always say it's much easier to do that work when you have that relationship. We as Huelmo, as Indigenous people, you know, even that word, I'll share that word. When you hear that word, Huelmo, much, you hear that word in there. And much in our language is earth. So when we really speak of ourselves, we are people of the earth. We were born of this earth, and yet we're part of it. So when we say it is us, we are it. Semiyama Bay, we are Semiyama. It is us, we are it. So being able to find our place here in our homes, through the relationships and the good things that are happening, it's all the step in the right direction. I always say I might not see reconciliation. I might not be alive by the time it actually comes to fruition. That's okay. That's okay. These ones might pick that up and carry that torch, and that's okay. It's taken us a long time to get where we're at. It's going to take us a little bit of time to get back, and that's okay. You can see we're not going anywhere. Our future looks bright here, as well as yours. So I thank you for the opportunity to be here, each and every one of you. One thing, last thing I'll share, because that's why I told Joanne go first, because I talk a lot. But you know, a lot of the times, if anybody in here done Toastmasters? All right, we got a couple. So they say, can I have your attention? Like I'm something special. I'm not. I'm not. I am Hewach. I'm a spokesperson on behalf of my community. That's all that I am. But we say, Asiem Nischalacha Paichka. We thank you for being here. We thank you because it's your thoughts, your prayer, your presence that brings spirit to our gatherings. Without the visitors and the guests, we'd be standing here all by ourselves. So it's your presence is an integral piece to the ceremony here today, and I thank you for taking time out of your day to be here, each and every one of you. Haichka, I think I'm done. I don't even know. It's one of these days. Our children, so the one thing I'm going to share is these paddle songs are important, and I sing them quite often because it explains the importance of us traveling in that canoe together. We're all paddling in the same direction. We don't have somebody turned backwards in the canoe. We don't have somebody paddling sideways. We don't have somebody sitting there just suntanning. It takes all of us, to get in that canoe and work towards reconciliation. It takes all of us to sit down and be able to talk about those challenging and difficult conversations. It takes all of us. And we all need to learn to paddle in the same canoe and head in the same direction. We're started this journey of reconciliation has begun. We've left shore, and now we're just going to start paddling out. So it's a beautiful time, but the journey's just begun. So again, I thank you for being here. Anything else?
No, you're
All
good.
right.
I may have a couple of things to follow up with. But,
Okay, well,
I'll
get
leave
these
it to
guys out of here, but don't go get changed. I want a picture of you guys. I want a picture with you guys, not of you guys. But again, I just really thank you, and I thank the city. I thank the city for us pulling something together. I think we're going to do something a little bit more. We kind of get stuck with Surrey and a lot of big event we pull out there, and it's hard. And we really try to not be in 50,000 places in one day, but it's our day. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Do a couple things. Our group's name goes back to when I was a child here in Semiyama, and we had one of our. Is he still around? No, gone now, isn't he? One of our late elders. He had a small youth group, and we called us the Kwalenks and the Young Eagles. And again, to be able to do the work, and I explained to our children a lot. You're here doing work. You're picking up the spirit. You're bringing life and goodness. We call Haitshwalowans to the people. You're bringing that to the people. You're dancing for the ones that can't dance anymore. You're giving them strength, clearing the path, so that the next little bit of the walk is a little bit easier. Thank you, Derek.
Thank you, Harley. And thank you, everyone, for coming out today and making this event so special. I think you get a sense of what is available to us to learn as culture from the Semiahmoo people of this community, of their lands, and the work that we can do together. And I guess I would challenge you, go and find out more about the culture of not only the Semiahmoo, but the First Nations in our province and in our country. There is so much to it that is so important to us, and we have to allow everything to become part of everything. That's the relationship that I believe we're trying to build here. And the last thing before I close is there's also at the museum now a presentation that has to do with, I believe, the survivors of the flood. Is that accurate?
I think it starts tomorrow.
Starts
So
tomorrow.
we're doing the grand opening tomorrow at 6.
Did you want to say anything about that before I close out?
The opening of the museum, Shashakoholak, is that what it is? Survivors of the Flood. And it was an exhibit that we partnered with the City of Surrey and the Museum of Surrey originally. And we said, let's make it accessible so that it could travel. Because really the goal was that bring it here to White Rock, to our shores. So we're doing the opening of that tomorrow, again as a kind of a ripple effect of Indigenous Peoples Day. And we'll be back down there. You'll probably get a repeat of what you saw here today tomorrow. Maybe not as many kids. I don't know. It's kind of hit or miss with them. And again, if you want more, we're out at Holland Park this afternoon. Starts at 3 o'clock. Grand opening is at 4:30 and it goes till 8 o'clock. So multiple different presenters, some crafts, some activities. It's a large scale event out there. So if you want to make your way to Holland Park, out on King George, right by Surrey Mall, right? See you there. I'll be there.
Thanks, Harley. And again, thanks to everyone that came out. Enjoy the rest of the day. There's going to be some treats and so on. Mingle, talk. Let's get to know each other a little bit better. That's what makes us better, stronger communities together. So enjoy. I hold my hands up to you and thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
And thank you, Brandon. It's a treat. I didn't know you had to put up with this. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
23 years he's had to put up.
All right, folks, enjoy.
You want to get the kids back up for
Yeah,
photos?
all you kids, please come up here.
Alicia.